All right, so hello, boys and squirrels. It's your old pal, Brad McLeod, back to teach the second half of how to detail your audio interface. Hang on a second. Nom, nom, nom. I love sunflower seeds. So good. Okay. Stop eating. Okay. So, here we are. And we have our, or I should say, the start of our audio interface. Okay? So we went through, and if I move this aside, we can see we nicely creased the inside edges here so that we could get this sort of hollow shape. We did the same for this guy. Okay, so we extruded these faces in. We slid some edge loops into the corners here so that it would retain the shape. And then we cut out these cylinders. Okay. So, with that done, let's move that to about there. Okay. We can go in and start adding more of these holes. Now, what we might want to do is start making room for some of these other guys. So let's take a look at what we have here. We got 1 and 2. So we know we got one in the center. So that might be a good place to start, since if we throw this guy in the center into our model, we can sort of plan out the one over here, cut this guy in half, and flip it to the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. So what do we need here? We need we have our center line, which is perfect, but we need another edge loop about here. So why don't we go ahead and add that son of a gun. So again, to split this guy, why don't we just go ahead and split it evenly? So I'll grab one of these edges. Okay. So if I hit the 5 key, again I'm in component mode, I'm in edge mode. I'll grab this guy and I want to split this edge ring. I'll hold control, hold right click, go to edge ring utilities and to edge ring and split. Okay. You guys should know that one by now. If you don't, there's another little FYI for you. Okay. And let's do the same to the other side. So I'll select one of these edges and I'll just hit G, which will split that. Okay, which is good. Okay, so now I've got evenly spaced. These guys are perfectly symmetrical, which is really what I want. Okay, I do want them to be symmetrical, but since we added these edges here, this guy and this guy, okay, we really should be taking, we don't want this to be straight. Okay, see how all these verts are completely straight? That's gonna straighten out this edge up here, and it really has more of like a nice arc like this. So what we need to do is actually grab these verts up here, okay, these two, and I'm gonna pull it on the Z just to kind of give it more, to true it up a little more, maybe even a bit more, just like that. Okay, that looks better. And I'll grab these two guys and just kind of pull them up a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. So you can see that when I'm coming back to my cage mode, my base cage mode, instead of smoothing, you can see that I'm really paying attention to how these verts come down. And then, you know, the second row of verts, if we put another row here, we might put it like here, and they'd be somewhere in and around there. So I'm really averaging out the distance, okay? Watching how I'm sort of averaging things out in between these two guys, and vice versa. Same on the other side. But again, like, we're only going to be past this middle input jack, the hole we're going to cut for this input jack. We're only going to be doing this guy and then copying the geometry to the other side. So let's go ahead and do this guy here. So what do we need? We need an X, because again we're going to use an 8-sided cylinder. I'm going to do a save. I'm going to go ahead and grab another cylinder. I'll go to polygon primitives. I'll grab a cylinder and I'll pull this out. Oh, he's hidden. Okay, you can see it created a cylinder here. So I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees on the X. I'll push her back in, scale it down. And that's about right. Okay. And I'm going to grab my polycylinder, and I'm going to go down to about 8 sides. Okay. And that looks about right. Okay. Okay. So this is really important, this part that I'm about to mention. I want to make sure that this cylinder's pivot is centered. So I'm going to go up to Modify, Center Pivot. So if my pivot was, if I hold the D key and just put it over here, if my cylinder's pivot is over like to the left or something weird, I'm going to make sure it's right in the center of the cylinder. So I'm going to go up to Modify, Center Pivot, and it snaps right back. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is I want to make sure that my cylinder's pivot is snapped to this row of edges, the center row of edges on the X axis. So the X being this red arrow. So what I'm going to do, let's go up to shading, wireframe unshaded, so that I can view that edge loop, this guy right here. And I'm going to hold the V, grab it on the X, and snap it right to that point. Perfect. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, since I want it to be right at the center, I'm just going to say snap it on the Z of that point as well. And then once I've done that, I'll bring it in, and that looks good. Okay. And I'll just check my size relationships. Really, I'll go to my front view, and I'll hide my geometry. Oop. Where's my reference planes? I want to take these guys out. Okay. I'm going to drag them, middle mouse drag them up here so that they're outside of my geometry group. If you guys have your reference planes inside your geometry group here, this guy, if you ever want to grab something and pull it out of a group, you can either shift select it and say Shift P to pull it out. You know that. We did that in the last video. I'll just reiterate. So let's just say that these guys are under this hidden group. So this stuff is hidden. So if I say Shift H, Control H, my reference planes are gone, so I can't see that image. So here's my reference plane 1 and 2. So I'll just shift select them and say Shift P. Okay. So since it's not in this hidden group anymore, right? It's now visible. Okay, just a little FYI. So I was just checking the cylinder here, and it looks like it's about the right size. So my reference image is a little bit to the left. I can tell because this hole. But that's okay. It's not a deal breaker. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Okay. Adjust my microphone. Adjust my microphone. Okay. So, got our cylinder here. It's right where we want it to be. Okay. And so I can turn that stuff off, turn this stuff back on, and we're ready to go. Okay, so incidentally, I didn't have to line up the cylinder on these verts. These guys on the y-axis, so up and down, because this X needs to come down anyway. So what I'll do is I'll just grab these two inside verts, because this is my center line, and I'll just grab it on the y-axis, hold the V key, and pull it down. And I'll hit F to zoom in on those two verts. And if I kind of zoom around, I can tell that. Okay, and what I did was I just snapped it to this point here. I snapped these two verts on the y-axis to this point here. Okay, so that's there. And you know what? I'm going to snap these guys on that same point, just like that. Okay, so I'm sort of, this is what you call re-topologizing. Okay, so I'm sort of readjusting my geometry to fit the new stuff that's going to be in there, which is actually quite common, and it's called re-topologizing. Okay, we'll get more into that a little later. It's very common in characters, character models, and things like that. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm probably going to scale these points in just a little bit on the X, so that yellow arrow there. Okay, and that should do fine. Okay, so this is good. So now I can draw an X in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into shaded mode. I'm going to hide, go into object mode, make sure I'm in object mode. So I'm going to hide my cylinder for now, do a save, and I'm going to make an X in this guy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So edit mesh, mesh tools, show my modeling toolkit, and I'll go into my multi-cut tool and I'll make an X. So from this guy to this guy to this guy and this guy to this guy to this guy. So I have my X. Okay. And very nice. Okay. And now, it's always good to just kind of take a look around and check things before you go doing anything. Okay. So what I'm going to do, actually, is before I use this and do anything with it, I'm going to duplicate this and move it over. Okay, and I'm just gonna go give or take maybe that. Just, you know, you can eyeball it, it's fine. Half the distance, so let's just say that's about right there. That's fine, give or take. Okay, and then what we're gonna end up doing is we're going to end up taking this edge loop here and actually nudging it this way. So nudging it to the left, so over here, to make room for this guy. So we're going to take this guy, this edge loop here, we're going to move it over, and then we're going to put a center line, draw an X, and then retopologize this guy. Okay. But first, we want to make sure things are symmetrical, so we're going to take this, and we're going to copy it to the other side. So I can say this guy, I want to duplicate it. I'm going to say Control G to throw it in a group. Okay? Because a group, remember, a group's pivot gets created at the origin, which is right at the center. Which means I can come up to the scale X of the group and say -1 and copy it to the other side, and then I can take this out of its group. Shift P, and I can delete that group. Object mode, remember I want to grab this guy and flip its normals, reverse, and object mode again. Okay, I'll do a save. So now I have these two guys are perfectly symmetrical, so I'll leave them where they are. And this guy, just going to do a nice Boolean out of this. So I'll grab this, and I'll grab this. Okay, so remember Booleans, we're going to be doing what's called a difference Boolean. So the way we do that is we're going to use this guy to cut a hole in this guy. So we select this guy first, this guy second. We're going to go mesh Booleans, and difference. Nice. Okay. And then I'm going to take the verts and V snap them to their proper places. So we can see that we need to put one there. If we go to the other side, let's see, is there any? Oh, look at that. It's actually did that really cleanly. But that's because we still needed to draw an X on the other side. So we will go ahead and do that, except we'll just do it after the fact. So let's go ahead and just nicely snap these vertices to where they should go. I'll go into wireframe mode, and I'll just select all of these guys, and I'll deselect the ones behind to make sure. I'll hit the F key to focus around. I've only got these selected, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and Merge Components. Okay. So this should have worked, except, again, I need my X on the other side in here. Ooh. Okay. So it's going to get a little tight in here. So what you can do is you can hide. I mean, if I go into object mode, I can hide this guy. Alright, so why don't we do that? Why don't we just grab all this stuff? And let's even grab this and hide all of it. And I'll come in here. And grab my modeling toolkit. Grab my multi-cut tool, and we'll just go ahead and make some cuts here. A little bit hard to see things, isn't it? Here. And from there to there. And from there Perfect. Perfecto! So I'm going to double click this edge and I'm going to bevel it. And I'll double click this guy and bevel that one too. And I'll hit the G key just to do that, okay? And there we go. Look at that sexy beast. Ooh, baby. Sexy. Okay. Nice. So let's go ahead and do these guys. So how are we going to do these? Okay, well, we need to retopologize this a little bit more. Okay. We need to retopologize this guy a little bit more, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to grab this edge. So we're going to go into edge mode, and I'm going to double click this guy. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure I have all of these edges selected. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to double click all of these edges. Okay. To make sure that every edge is selected. And I mean this, guys, like you really need to make sure that all the edge is selected. Okay, so just go around and select all that edge. Make sure that these little tiny loops are selected. Okay. So once we've got all of that selected, we're going to use the slide edge tool. So this is a really neat tool. I've been using it for years, and basically if we go under mesh tools, what it essentially does is slides the edge along a certain axis. So we come to slide edge tool, and so it says drag with middle mouse button to slide. So we can just drag. See how it does that? Slides it along there. Okay, but it's actually not doing it the way I want it to. Again, Maya's giving us that old sorry. Okay, so not doing the job. That's okay. We'll do this the old-fashioned way. So we're going to come into vertex mode, and really all I need to do is I'm going to take all of this stuff and I'm going to slide it over this way first. Okay. So you can see that it's because we're sliding it over in such a fashion and we beveled these edges, it's not actually affecting this edge loop or this ring, so or this cylinder that we cut out. Okay, and that's because we beveled that. That's because we beveled these inner edges. So it's these inner edges that are holding the shape of this really well, which is fine. It's very good. So we'll move this over to make room. And then we need to remember to come into the top view and sort of true this stuff up a little bit. So actually it's really doesn't need that much truing up, except I might take this edge loop or this vert and just pull it down that way, because we kind of want to maintain this sort of S shape. Okay, so we're just going to work on the one side. Okay, just going to work on the one side, and okay. So we need to split this edge here. So I'm going to grab one of these edges and say edge ring to split. Right. Go into vertex mode, wireframe, pull this guy down in the Y and on the X. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because this is going to be sort of averaged out between this guy and this guy, I'm just going to pull this down like that. Because again, we're going to cut a hole using this cylinder, but it's also, we also need to make sure that it's not tugging too badly on this guy here. So if we just sort of go up and down like this, okay, well it's doing a little bit of tugging, but not too bad. Maybe just a little less too. Maybe straighten that out a little bit. Just give this guy some wiggle room. I'm gonna do a save. Remember to save, guys. Always save. Okay, so looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and grab our multi-cut tool. I'll go out of wireframe mode and I'll make an X. Oh. Okay, wait. Let's stop that first. Let's hide this cylinder because it's going to be kind of hairy. Okay, so I'll go into object mode, grab the cylinder. I'll say Control H. Okay, so I know that this is. I can see here. This is my hidden cylinder. Like really, you should be naming this stuff, but just keep track of where your cylinder is. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Never mind what I'm laughing at. It's twisted. I'm a sick human being. Okay, so multi-cut tool. Oops. Want to be in here. Multi-cut tool. And from this point to this point and this point. Okay. And this guy to this guy. We'll close that. Okay. Go into object mode and we'll bring back our cylinder. And remember to cut this out. We're going to say this guy and this guy. And then we're going to go up to our mesh booleans difference. Okay. And then I'll focus in on this. Snap this guy here. Snap this guy here. And remember, we want to be snapping to the cylinder. You don't want to be taking the cylinder verts and moving them because the cylinder is our perfect circle, right? Okay, so if I grab this guy, snap him to there. Snap this guy to there. Snap this guy to there. Snap this guy to there. This guy to there. This guy we can snap down here, so this guy's going to come down to this guy here, and we need one more cut from here, from this point up to this guy. Okay. It's a little hard to see this stuff on here until you get out of it, but that's essentially what we want. Okay, so nice four-sided faces, and then we'll go to vertex mode, wireframe. I'm just going to grab all these and merge components. And if we hit 3 key, what do we have here? What's going on here? Oops. We have a problem. This guy needs to be properly snapped to there. And I'll just merge those again. Merge components. Same thing on the bottom. Jeez, Brad. Okay. This is what happens when you don't pay attention. Merge components. Yeah. Look at how nice that is. Oh man, that's sexy. Okay, so I'll grab all these edges by double clicking them, and I will bevel them, and I'll hit the Q key to get out of that. I'll grab these edges, and I'll hit the G key to repeat that command, and there we go. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, so now what we can do is go into object mode. We'll hide this cylinder, go into object mode, and you guys know the drill, right? Take these faces here. Let's just check to make sure that we got the right ones selected. I'll blow those away. Ooh, okay, we've got to grab these two, blow those away, and let's just go here. Let's grab our verts in the middle. Okay, so if we go to the top view, and we just grab these guys in the middle like this, we want to make sure they're nice and centered. So we'll go up to absolute transform on the X, 0. So we know those are nice and centered. We'll go to object mode again, select this guy. Our pivot's right in the center. And we'll go to mesh, mirror geometry, click the options box, and positive X, because this is the X-axis. So positive X, apply. Then we just need to say, we just need to grab these guys right in the center. Remember, we need to merge these. So I'm just going to make sure that I grab all those, and I'll come to merge components. I'm going to click the options box this time because I want to make sure this is set to a nice low value, which it is. 0.001 is what this should be, and merge that. And when I hit the 3 key, beautiful. It's on the other side. Okay, nice. I'll do a save. Okay, so we're looking good. We're looking really, really good. Okay. And shading, I'll take wireframe unshaded off. So we've got some weird little anomalies happening here, and we can fix those. But for the purposes of this assignment, I'm going to just leave this as it is. And you can see the anomalies happening here because when I rotate around, you can see that it's sort of got this little dipping effect going on here, and you really shouldn't have that. And there are ways to fix it, but for you guys, let's just focus on this stuff first, and maybe we'll get into more advanced topologizing a little bit later. Okay, so we've got these holes in here, and what I can do is I can now sort of do some more modeling in here by I can unhide this last cylinder that I had. So I have this cylinder here, and I can take this guy, okay, and what I want to do, I want to make sure that this guy is on smooth, so it's smoothed, okay? So I'm going to take this guy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy out, okay? Make sure he's not on smooth mode. And I'm just going to slide some edge loops onto this guy to sort of crease the outsides of him. Just like that. Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to grab the inside faces of this guy, like that, and blow those away so that it's hollow. And let's take this edge, and I want to come over to my edit mesh extrusion tools instead of this extrude tool, because it acts a little bit funny, it's less precise. So I'm going to come to edge, under edit mesh, edge, extrude. So I got this guy, and I'm going to offset. Oh no, thickness? Yes, thickness is what I want. Okay, and I'm going to do a value of maybe 0.1. Okay, and I'm going to hit the G key to repeat that command, and now I want to use thickness again, and I'll come in by a value of maybe -1. Whatever floats your boat. Okay. Okay. So if I smooth this, see the result I get, right? And now I can just move it back in. And now I'll duplicate this guy over a couple of times. And what I can do, if I hit the 4 key, is I can V-snap this guy on the x-axis a couple of times. Bring it over, snap it. Okay. And I can do the same for this guy. I can snap it to this and snap it to that, and then I can actually scale it up. Ooh. Cool. Just until it's about the size of this guy, just like that. And I can move him in just a little bit. I'll duplicate this guy again and just bring him over to this side and snap it. Snap it. Now it's finding the edge automatically, so I can snap it on the X just like that. Okay. And I'll hit save. Okay. Pretty good. Not bad if I do say so myself. So let's just hide, unhide some of this stuff. Where are we? We've got all this stuff. Okay, so we got these garbage transforms here, so I'm going to get rid of those. These garbage nodes here. So I'm just going to deselect my light. I'll just hit the 4 key. I'll just sort of zoom around. This is the only thing I have. So that's fine. So I'm going to say modify, edit and delete by type history. So that cleaned up a lot of this crap. And I'll take these guys out of there and then hide them. Okay. Okay. So assign existing material front Lambert 5? Yeah. So Lambert 5. Okay. So my camera view. Hide my mesh tools. Okay. So that's plain. Okay, so I'll do a render, see how this looks. Alright, not bad. Okay, so we got this going. Got our little button things on the top here. Okay. And what else? So I mean, you guys can see how this is sort of shaping up, right? You can sort of see. So we've got these guys here. Okay. But I think I'm going to stop the video here and let you guys figure out the rest. You know, you've got some bolts on the end here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and got this guy here, these lights. So you got, okay, so you got some stuff to figure out. I'll let you take a crack at it. You know, but just go through and look at your different reference planes in both the front and side views. You know, I throw these pieces of geometry in here and hide those. You can see you've got these jacks, so maybe make another cylinder and put the cylinder inside this rim cylinder that we modeled. Okay, so put that in there, and then maybe you can cut some holes out of those cylinders themselves, or maybe just put a cylinder in there is fine, you know, and put a cylinder, you know, on all 4 corners for the bolts, and you know, you know, as for the top, what the heck's going on here? As for the top, oh yeah, you can take a look over here. Just click this guy and hit F to focus in on it. As for the top, you know, you've got these 2 guys, so find that center point. You know, maybe make a cylinder and you know, make this one piece to cut out the top. Okay, and I'll leave you to it. Okay, but yeah, this is essentially, you know, you're getting close, reaching the home stretch. So, you know, whatever. Take a cylinder, right? Rotate it this way on the X. Let's focus in on it. Only needs to be about 8 sub-Ds, so we'll make it 8. We'll slow, you know, we want to crease the front and back faces, so we'll say mesh tools, insert edge loop. So we'll slide an edge loop there, slide an edge loop there, and we'll grab this on the object mode, and just scale it on the Y, maybe to make it a bit smaller. smooth it out to see how it looks. And I'll line it up on the X and line it up on the Y of this guy. And then move it in. You know. And maybe just scale it down this way. Okay. Hit the 4 key. And duplicate this guy and bring it over to the other side. Holding the V key, I'm snapping to this center line here. So on the X, snap it to that center line. And if it's a little low or out of place, you can just sort of, at this point, it doesn't have to be like super perfect. Okay. Okay. Again, if the audience doesn't notice, you can be perfect with it, but you know, very few things are perfect in nature anyway. I mean, this is a man-made object, but the point is you just want to get the gist of it in there. You know, and then you can grab these two guys. You can say assign favorite material, I don't know, maybe a blend 2, and just turn this down to like a dark charcoal or something, just like that. You know, and maybe render that, see how that looks. And there you go. You might want to turn down the specularity on it because it's a blend material. But yeah, okay. So you're on your way. Might want to turn the reference off before you render that. But yeah, looks good. Okay. All right. See you later.